Alright, so if you watch my last biology video on YouTube, okay, I don't think I've uploaded anyone on YouTube yet, but in our last biology class that we held on life class, we talked about varieties of organisms. So if you didn't join us in that class, this is an opportunity. Varieties of organism. Yeah, that's it, and that's it according to our syllabus. So then, okay, let me just make this thing smaller. Yeah, so now in this part we are going to be discussing the foundation of biology. Like we all know that biology is actually the study of life. And how does it come from? It comes from the word bio and logy. Bio is life, logy means study. So biology is actually studying life. So what are the things that have life? We all know generally that it is plants and animals that have life. But in actual fact, we have more than plants and animals having life. So the father of biology, known as the first man who classified organisms, is Aristotle in 365 BC. He said we have plants and animals, but in actual fact we have more than that. Yeah, we have more than that. So he classified it based on the characteristic of living things, in which we all know. If you remember in your secondary school, you were told that the characteristic of living thing is Mr. Niger D, right? Mr. Niger Lack or Mr. Niger D. Yeah, so the N stands for movement, right? So then the R stands for what? Respiration. The Please complete the word. The N stands for nutrition. Nutrition. The I stands for irritability, which you can also call sensibility. The G stands for growth. Then the E stands for excretion. The R stands for reproduction. So reproduction. Then the last part, which is lack. For me, I will say lack because the S stands for lifespan. The lifespan of an organism. The A stands for adaptation. These are the common character of organism. Then the C stands for competition. So if you gather all these characters, you will notice that it can be observed in almost all organisms. Almost all organisms can perform this character. So let me just reduce my pencil size. Yeah, so now let's now move to the deal of today. Let me erase this. This is the video that we have been making before for physics. So let's move to the deal of today, which we want to be talking about. We want to talk about classification of living things. So how do we classify? So it's classification. And then I said it in that last class that classification, followed a strict particular order. So in biology, we classify based on hierarchy. So, and I gave the classification of living things. I gave an acronym in that class, KP GS, for people that didn't join that class. And then this is the basis for classifying all living things that the biologists propose. So we have living things put together in the same kingdom. The K stands for kingdom. Then the P also have a D/D, don't forget. So the P stands for phylum. So this phylum is representing animals, So when you put organism into the same kingdom, inside that kingdom we have different phylums. So that's what we mean if it is in an animal kingdom. But if it is in a plant kingdom, we have different divisions of plants. So divisions, it's called divisions. So take note of that. So we now put inside those phylums and division, we now put organism into different classes. So they have different class. Inside those classes, we now put organism into different order. Yeah, different order. Then inside those order, we put organism into different families. Yes, for the S stands for family. Then the G stands for what? Genus. We put organism into different genus, but organism that can freely interbreed is what we now call species. So species is the smallest unit of classification of living things. So in case you are asked in your exam that what is the smallest unit of classification of living things? Species. What is the most inclusive when it comes to classification? The answer is kingdom. What is the least inclusive? Species. So those are the kind of questions you should be expecting when it comes to classification in biology. So now let's talk about kingdom. Yeah. So before we talk about kingdom, we have to talk about a man called what? Carl Linnaeus. Carl Linnaeus. Some textbook call him Carolus Linnaeus. So he was the one that gave the what? Binomial nomenclature of living things. And what does this mean? Binomial nomenclature means bi stands for two. Naming organisms. Naming, the nomenclature means naming. Yeah, nomenclature means naming. So naming organism, giving them two particular names. The generic name, which is their genus name, and the what? And the species name, which is their species name. For example, human being is what? We are Homo sapien, right? So human being is Homo sapien. Other organism like frog, we have different kind of frog. So it also has its own his own scientific name. Yeah, lizard is agama, frog is bufalo. They have different names given to different scientific names given to different species, but all you need to know is that the generic name must be written, first letter must be capital letter underlined, then the second name, which is the species name, must be small letter or true, then you underline. So that's what I want to say there. Then we move on to the kingdom in that class. We said we have 5 kingdoms. But before we say we have 5 kingdoms, we said kingdoms are first classified into 2 by what? By the early biologists like Aristotle and the rest. So they say we have plants and animals. But in actual fact, we have more than this. We have more than these 2 organisms. But any organism you want to classify must have either character of plants or animal. You understand? So then they later proposed that we have the 5 system of naming organisms. There are 5. We classify organisms into 5 in later times. So the first one is the monerans. The second one is the what? Protista. The third one is the fungi. Then the next one is the plantae for plural of plants. Then the last one is the what? Is the animal. We call it animalia. So that's the 5 kingdoms that we talked about in the last class. So we started from kingdom monerans. We said we have 2 basic examples in kingdom monerans. We have the blue-green algae and bacteria. So take notes. Then we talked about the characters of these guys. We said we introduced the concept of prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms. So when you hear prokaryotic cell, we are talking about a cell that doesn't have a definite nucleus and what? A membrane-bound organelles. So prokaryotic, no nucleus, no what? No membrane-bound organelles. No membrane-bound organelles. So take note of that. Membrane-bound organelles. So the organelles are not membrane-bound. So they don't have it. So that's why they call them prokaryotes. So pro means from the beginning. Then karyotic means nucleus. No nucleus from the beginning. So that's it. So then the other one, which is the what? True nucleus from the beginning, is the eukaryotic. So eukaryotic, eu stands for true in biology. So eukaryotic means what? It has true nucleus. So we are talking about a cell that have a definite nucleus and a membrane bound organelle. definite nucleus, and the membrane-bound organelles. So when we talk of plant and animal cell, they fall under this category. So those kind of cells, they are what? They are eukaryotic cells. But when you talk of bacterial cells, blue-green algal cells, they are what? Prokaryotic cells. So take note of that. So when we talk of these kingdoms now, is only Monera that has a prokaryotic cells. So from Protista to Animalia, they all have what? They all have, so from year to year, they have what? Eukaryotic cells. So that's what we are talking about. So this one is true, then this one is pro. So can you see that? So that is the difference. So then in the next class we'll be talking about each and every one of them individually. Then that is how we end classification. So we are still going to continue classification, but the assignment that we are going to be giving in this lecture is that in this class is that you will draw a typical bacterial cell and compare it with a typical plant and animal cell. So that is the assignment. Draw a typical bacterial cell and compare it with plants and animal cell. So take note of the assignment. So I'm going to write it again so that you can see it. Draw a typical, so you have to draw the plant cell also and animal cell, so that you can compare it with the bacterial cell. Bacterial cell and compare with plant and animal cell. So take note of that. So that's the homework there. So I'm going to see you in the next class. Bye.